All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to World Outside the Ring. This is Gabe, aka the other guy. And so this is now my second special segment of the World Outside the Ring. Those of you that have watched the Beantown Beatdown know that I used to do that as part of the main show with Matt. And so, now I'm doing these special segments Wednesday, 1 o'clock. So keep tuning in. All right, so today is July 10th, and so I found out this moment in history, this day in history, was actually the beginning of what was known as the Scopes Monkey Trial. For those that don't know, that was in 1926, and it was about a teacher being prosecuted for teaching evolution in Tennessee. So, in the South at the time, it was, the law was actually on the side of, teaching religion over science. So, a lot of you are kind of like, that was a long time ago. Why should we care? But the thing is, it wasn't that long ago. Those people my age and younger, yes, it seems like, centuries, but really today's, this year's 2019. So, it's less than 1 century. And we still haven't completely grappled with it. So, on today, July 10th, talking about the Scopes Monkey Trial, I'm going to be talking about separation of church and state. So like I said, we still haven't grappled with this. This is still a big issue. And and it's an issue that people have to continue to fight for. That's the other thing. Matt talks about one type of fighting. I talk about a very different type of fighting a lot, and even on the show. And so that's why we talk about this. Is that there's been a big history during this decade of people trying to fight for the separation of church and state, meaning that no matter what religion you do believe in, and I respect it. We all, most of us do respect it. It doesn't mean that can influence political life. It doesn't mean that can influence that can be used against certain people, or people being told that they have to adopt that. So the Scopes Monkey Trial again was about a teacher that was prosecuted for teaching science and specifically evolution, and not the Bible creationist story. Sorry to call it a story. Those of you that do believe that. I mean the creationism versus evolution. So this guy that was prosecuted for that because, again, at the time, the laws in America have been very different about religion. We tried to make it, we did make it baked into our system, as opposed to Europe's system that we will not be influenced by or dominated by one religion, and that people will have freedom of religion and freedom from religion if they choose. So so anyway, that includes, you have to kind of move with the times, and some people didn't want to do that. They wanted only religion to be taught in schools, and specifically only the Bible to be taught, as the true nature, of how we came to be on this planet. So anyway, so evolution was at odds with that, and so yes, this teacher was a true science teacher because he stood up for science, fought for science, and said no, this is actually by science, this is actually how it happened, and and anyway, he was prosecuted for that. If it was a northern state, who knows? Maybe he wouldn't have been. But it was a very different time overall, and so yeah, it was going to happen. It was bound to happen that there would be a clash of the law and and these religious forces, and really it was a clash of culture, and so yeah, that began the trial. And it's called the Scopes Monkey Trial because, again, people that were offended by the idea of religion said, oh, you're telling me that I came from a monkey. That's insulting. Whereas they wanted to believe that, that we were just created out of, who knows, from the divine God. So anyway, it's been a long struggle in America. I would encourage you to watch the film Inherit the Wind. By the way, that's about this. About the Scopes Monkey Trial. There's a Netflix film called The Most Hated Woman in America, and that's that's about a time much later, in like the 70s and 80s, about Madeline Harris Murray, I think was her name, who founded the American Atheists, and that also was completely controversial, and spewed a bunch of admiration and hate. So. In America, again, those that don't actually know, we do have the idea of a separation of church and state. That even though there is the dominant religion, obviously, and a lot of state houses still have religious symbols, and that's actually kind of a controversial thing as well. I think it was in Alabama. That one of the state houses had to take down the Ten Commandments or something like that, because basically the idea is that yes, you can have your religion, and you can people do place their hand on the Bible most of the time, but that's actually not required, when you're swearing in and stuff like that, but the idea is that even though most of these people may say yes, it is Christianity and it is religion that governs this, what actually governs our system of government is law and the Constitution and things like that, and despite what some people would tell you, the Constitution is not a religious document. It actually does say freedom of religion and perhaps freedom from religion. So anyway, when you're arguing in high court, and when you're arguing, within government, you have to use, legal arguments. You can't use the Bible. You can't use, religion in general, any religion. All right, so that's a huge thing about our culture, and why is it important today? Because it still goes on. People still believe that we should have religion further baked into our culture, religion taking over our process of government. That's called a theocracy, which is what a lot of cultures had previous to this last century, and theocracy means you follow biblical or religious law, and that is very different from civil law. That is very different from government, and so we should be proud that we've come so far to make a secular government, and we're not going to have that. And again, it's not to disparage any religion, and funnily enough, Matt and I actually haven't talked about this on the show yet, but he and I represent a collaboration, not just of two races, which we are, not just of a casual fan and a huge and a major fight fan, and yeah. And we're a collaboration of many different things. Oh, also of straight and gay, but not even that. But also we haven't talked about that we're also a collaboration of two different faiths as well. I hope he doesn't mind. That I will tell you he's Christian. I'm Jewish. So that actually is a collaboration of two faiths as well. But we don't talk about that on the show, because we talk about our ideas, and we talk about these concepts, and and that's what it should be about. We should be arguing about ideas, and that's what you're going to see in this upcoming presidential election that's already begun. It really is more and more about the ideas that we have, and that's what we should fight for. And anyone that tries to bring a religious argument into it, and tries to conflate that with politics, conflate that with government, that really shouldn't be acceptable. You can put your hand on the Bible. You can believe these things and have that be part of. If you're like in a position like a judge or elected member, then yes, you can have that be part of your governing philosophy. But you shouldn't actually base these big decisions that affect all of us on that. So that's something I will continue to fight for. That's something we should all continue to fight for, to make America successful as it was meant to be. So think about that as we just had 4th of July, as we continue the summer, let's fight for separation of church and state. Let's fight for a strong secular government. Let's fight for the battle of ideas, not the battle of the past. All right. Thank you all. I'll see you soon.